Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl! Die gesamte Generalität ist nichts weiter als ein Haufen niederträchtiger, treuloser Feind!
Felix Steiner was one of the most intriguing figures of World War II, a skilled military leader who rose to prominence within the Waffen-SS and became famous for refusing Adolf Hitler's final desperate orders. His story is one of ambition, innovation, and moral complexity, illustrating how one man navigated the dangerous path of war and ideology during one of history's darkest periods. Felix Martin Julius Steiner was born on May 23, 1896 in Stallupönen, East Prussia. Growing up in a conservative, militaristic society, Steiner inherited the values of duty and discipline. His family, like many others in the region, valued military service highly, and young Steiner was drawn to the life of a soldier from an early age. When World War I broke out in 1914, Steiner enlisted in the German army and served with distinction. He demonstrated natural leadership abilities and quickly rose through the ranks. By the end of the war, he had achieved the rank of lieutenant and received the Iron Cross for bravery. However, Germany's defeat in the war and the harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles left Steiner, like many Germans, bitter and disillusioned. The treaty severely limited Germany's military, reducing the once proud army to 100,000 men and outlawing many traditional military organizations. For Steiner, this was not just a national humiliation, but also a personal setback, as it ended his hopes for a long and stable military career. During the interwar years, Steiner found work in various right-wing paramilitary groups and veterans organizations, keeping alive his connection to the military world. In 1935, as Adolf Hitler's Nazi regime began to rebuild Germany's armed forces, Steiner was offered an opportunity to join the SS. The SS, Schutzstaffel, originally formed as Hitler's personal bodyguard, was undergoing significant changes in the 1930s. Under Heinrich Himmler's leadership, the SS was evolving into a more militarized force, and Steiner saw an opportunity to shape its future. Despite not being a member of the Nazi Party, he accepted the role. At the time, the SS was largely ceremonial, with limited combat capability. Steiner envisioned something entirely different, a highly trained, elite fighting force that could rival the German army. He began developing innovative training methods that focused on practical combat skills, adaptability, and teamwork, breaking away from the rigid drills of the traditional military. Steiner's approach emphasized discipline, camaraderie, and the ability to think independently in battle. His philosophy was that soldiers should not simply follow orders blindly, but should understand the strategic goals behind their actions. This focus on adaptability and innovation would later become hallmarks of the Waffen-SS under Steiner's leadership. When World War II began in 1939, Steiner commanded the SS Regiment Deutschland. During the invasion of Poland, his unit distinguished itself, and Steiner's tactical acumen came to the fore. His leadership during the campaign earned him the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross, one of Germany's highest military honors. Steiner's success continued during the Battle of France in 1940, where his regiment played a key role in advancing through enemy lines. His ability to coordinate infantry, tanks, and artillery in combined arms operations set him apart as one of the most innovative commanders in the Waffen-SS. In 1941, Steiner was given command of the newly formed SS Viking Division, a unit unique for its inclusion of volunteers from occupied and neutral countries like Norway, Denmark, and the Netherlands. While the division achieved notable military success on the Eastern Front, it also gained notoriety for its involvement in war crimes, including the massacre of 600 Jews in Zborov, Ukraine. These atrocities would later tarnish Steiner's legacy. By April 1945, the war was nearing its end. Soviet forces had breached Germany's defenses and were closing in on Berlin. The once mighty German army was shattered, and Hitler's bunker had become the nerve center for increasingly desperate and delusional plans. In one of his last acts of command, Hitler ordered Steiner to launch a massive counterattack against the Soviet forces surrounding Berlin. The plan was wildly unrealistic, envisioning a pincer movement that would break the Soviet advance. Hitler believed that Steiner commanded a formidable force capable of achieving this, but the reality was far different. Steiner's units were exhausted, scattered, and poorly equipped. With only 10,000 troops and a handful of operational tanks, Steiner knew that any attempt to follow Hitler's orders would result in pointless slaughter. He informed his superiors that the attack was impossible, effectively defying Hitler. When news of Steiner's refusal reached Hitler on April 22, 1945, the Führer flew into one of his infamous rages, finally realizing the full extent of Germany's hopeless situation. This moment, often dramatized in historical accounts, symbolized the collapse of the Nazi regime. Steiner, understanding the futility of the situation, made the pragmatic decision to save his remaining men. He led his forces westward, where they surrendered to the Americans. By doing so, he spared his soldiers the harsh fate that awaited those captured by the Soviets, including brutal labor camps and summary executions. After the war, Steiner was held by Allied forces and investigated during the Nuremberg trials. While many Waffen-SS leaders were convicted of war crimes, Steiner was not charged. This was due in part to a lack of direct evidence linking him to specific atrocities, as well as his reputation as a pragmatic and professional military leader. Released in 1948, Steiner faced the challenges of rebuilding his life in post-war Germany. He became a founding member of HIAG, an organization of former Waffen-SS officers that lobbied for the rehabilitation of their image. Steiner also authored 2 books, The Army of Outlaws and The Volunteers, in which he argued that most Waffen-SS soldiers fought for their country, not for Nazi ideology. These works were controversial, as they sought to separate the military actions of the Waffen-SS from the political crimes of the Nazi regime. In a surprising twist, Steiner was recruited by the CIA in 1953. As tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union escalated during the early Cold War, Steiner's military expertise became valuable to the West. He was involved in efforts to build a new German defense force and contributed to the rearmament of West Germany. Steiner remained active in veterans organizations and attended reunions with his wartime comrades until his death on May 16, 1966. Hundreds of former soldiers traveled from across Europe to pay their respects at his funeral. We hope you found this video informative. If you enjoyed learning about today's topic, make sure to check out our other World War II videos. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more World War II content.
Mein Führer, was Sie da sagen, ist ungeheuerlich.
Die Generalität ist das Geschmeiß des deutschen Volkes. Sie ist ohne